Soviet gerrymandering. When the Soviet cartographers sliced and diced Central Asia in the 1920s, someone must have said, "The Kyrgyz, aren't they all nomads? Let's give them the mountains." Before the Soviet era, there were no national borders between the peoples of the region, and identity was defined by religion, family, clan, and place. The Soviets feared that such muddled loyalties could help Islamic, social, or political movements gain popular support. Educated Central Asians and religious leaders still talk privately of a Greater Turkestan or a Central Asian Caliphate. The Soviets attempted to counter such tendencies by constructing nationalities, giving each a defined territory with national borders, along with a ready-made history, language, culture, and ethnic profile. Your loyalty was no longer to your tribe, village, or faith, but to your nationality as a Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Tajik, Turkmen, or Uzbek, and to its Soviet Socialist Republic, or SSR. The Uzbek and Turkmen SSRs were created in 1924, the Tajik SSR in 1929. It took the Russians longer to sort out the Kazakhs and the Kyrgyz, who share similar physical features, traditions, and language. Indeed, in the 19th century, they were all referred to as Kyrgyz. As ethnographic research began to reveal differences, the mountain tribes became known as the Kara Kyrgyz, black Kyrgyz, to distinguish them from the steppe-dwelling Kazakhs, who were called simply Kyrgyz because Kazakh sounded too much like the name of another group, the Cossacks. Although the Russians seemed confused, the Kazakhs knew perfectly well who they were and that they were not Kyrgyz. They were members of a tribe that was either part of the Great, Middle, or Little Horde, each of which had its own Khan, or king. In 1936, most of present-day Kyrgyzstan became the Kyrgyz SSR. In the same year, the Kazakh SSR was formed. And so, through the miracle of Soviet ethnic engineering, the Kara Kyrgyz were no longer black, but true Kyrgyz, while the people who'd been called Kyrgyz for over a century turned out to be Kazakhs after all. While promoting new national loyalties, the Soviets realized that too much nationalism could be dangerous. In a parallel effort to solidify control, they shifted around ethnic groups to ensure that none was dominant in a specific area. Thousands of Central Asians were moved to other parts of the Soviet Union. Russian and Ukrainian farm and factory workers were settled in Central Asia, while Volga Germans, Chechens, Koreans, and other ethnicities were deported to the region. The policy of divide and rule, intended to suppress ethnic unrest and militant Islam, created artificial borders between ethnically mixed SSRs. The medieval cities of Samarkand and Bukhara, historically centers of Tajik culture and with large ethnic Tajik populations, ended up in the Uzbek SSR. Osh, the main trading center in the eastern Fergana Valley, and with a predominantly Uzbek population, ended up as the capital of southern Kyrgyzstan. Independence came suddenly to all Soviet republics. Unlike liberation struggles in Asia or Africa, there was no army emerging from the mountains or the jungles to be cheered by flag-waving crowds, no government in exile, no heroes or martyrs to freedom. Citizens of each Soviet Socialist Republic woke up one morning in 1991 and suddenly found themselves citizens of an independent country. Achieving independence is one thing, creating national identity is another. At independence, ethnic Kazakhs were a minority, albeit the largest one, in Kazakhstan, making up about 41% of the population. At the same time, almost 1/4 of Tajikistan's population was ethnically Uzbek. With the possible exception of Turkmenistan, all Central Asian republics have a rich but potentially volatile ethnic mix. The region, noted the New York Times, looked like a medieval map where power is defined by ethnicities and clans, not by borders. Former US National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski famously referred to Central Asia as the, quote, Eurasian Balkans. But that's how the Soviets drew the maps.